holy hell, we're actually going to have an updated AF scale, because I knew from the very start, like, sorry about that, that the AF scale was already flawed, like, many, many years ago. Hey folks, Ethan here, also known as the Valorant Aligner. Welcome back to my channel. You guys have seen me before, welcome back. You guys are new to my channel, welcome. So tonight, I'm going to be giving my thoughts as a weather psychic about the Enderlin EF-5 twister that we had back on June 20th, 2025. So, this is not going to be a reaction video to another person's video. I do want to clear that up. These are my thoughts about this event. So my reaction to this, I would say, wow, we actually got one. Like, holy hell, we actually got an EF-5. Like, we truly got one. Like, so far we haven't had an EF-5 for over a decade. The last EF-5 that we ever had was all the way back in Oklahoma, which is all the way back in 2013. So this is super far that we got the last EF-5. Man, but we got one. But the reason why I'm not really like too surprised about this, because it doesn't quite push me, like push up the notch for me to be like I'm gonna go crazy about this event, because I don't know, like we got one, but like it's quite I would say alarming, to be honest. But it doesn't really want me to be like I don't want to like start screaming out of the door, be like, we finally got one, boys, ladies and gentlemen, we got one at last. This is just how I would react, but obviously in my own opinion of how I would react to this, it's not very impressive, but it's still quite somewhat remarkable. But we still got one in the end. Moving on to my thoughts on this. So when I first heard about this, I was like, oh, this thing got upgraded to an EF-5, because the first time I heard about this, back all the way earlier, it was rated an EF-3, but the problem is that the wind speeds were over 200 miles per hour, so that would put it into the EF-5 range. But here's the thing though, no matter what the intensity is, the way how the NWS, or National Weather Service for short, rates these damages from the tornado is based on the damage. So what kind of damage are they talking about? They're mostly talking about the structure, like any type of building, and the amount of damage on the vegetation itself, which is essentially on the ground. But the one thing that's not included in the damage indicators on their report is large objects like cars, trucks, railroad cars like freight cars, or even planes like small model airplanes. Maybe bigger airplanes like Delta or American Airlines, something like that. I would include those, but they don't add those into the damage indicators, which is quite disappointing. But I'm gonna get back to the damage indicators a bit more later on. So, but this tornado actually did hit the town of Enderlin, but it didn't quite hit the very heavily populated area where it would have hurt the most. So it did leave scratches on the edge of the town of Enderlin, but the one damage that was very heavily extensive was one area that truly changed everything, and it kind of questioned me about like, why didn't you guys not include this earlier? So, the way how it was rated to an EF-5 was based on this one damage piece that truly changed like everyone around the community and the meteorology community specifically. And I'm pretty sure you guys, as the viewer, as tornado fans watching these tornado events occur, they, we pretty much enjoy how crazy they are, but we're always quite shocked at how much damage they do. Coming back to what I was about to say is that the way how it was rated at 5 was that there was a damage on the train cars on the railway, and I'm going to show you guys right here real briefly that this damage here was like, holy hell, that's quite like extreme damage right there. That's probably like the only one that got hit the heaviest, but the town didn't get that hit that hard because earlier what I said before is that it was rated EF-3, so I believe that town was only got EF-3 extensive damage, even though right now it's officially an EF-5. But it didn't really get hit the hardest, but the train itself got hit hard. The way how this one got the EF-5 was that one train car in the far distance in the field, that was empty, and there were a few of those freight cars on the railway. They were heavily filled up, but that one on the far end, that was empty, and that one got flung really high, and it got thrown off. Like, holy hell, it got thrown off pretty far into the distance out there. So that's how it got its official rating, was based on that. So now I'm going to be going off a little bit of somewhat of a heated rant at this point, because in my response to this, of how this was rated in EF-5, it's like, why would you guys rate this as an EF-5 when you guys didn't want to include the train cars as tornado damage? Like, why are you guys including those now? It doesn't really make any sense to me, though, that. So, in your policy, that the way how you rate EF-5, or not EF-5, the EF damage scale is based on damage. So, what kind of damage are we talking about? Like, I'm pretty sure you guys kind of get where I'm going with this, because by damage, like, what kind of damage are we talking about? Like, we know about structural damage and vegetation damage, but do cars, trains, and airplanes don't count at all? That's my number one question with NWS. Like, do they not count because they're going to be in the way of a tornado outbreak no matter what? Like, it doesn't matter what day it is, it doesn't matter like what time it is, they're going to be in the way. So why are we deciding now, like, okay, I guess we're gonna include the train car as tornado damage, but in our policy statement we don't include it? It's so ridiculous that I'm hearing about this. And if you guys don't know why I'm giving this evidence, I'm gonna leave it down below about this one link that tell you guys that the EF scale does not include the train cars, airplanes, whatever. I'm gonna just stick that out for you guys, because it's very dumb of how the meteorology community would do this. Like, why would you guys not include this? But it's gonna be in the way of a tornado. Like, if you guys see like maybe a quarter-mile wide wedge coming out to town, but there's gonna be cars over there. There's gonna be like trucks. They're gonna be in the way, and if it's like 250 miles per hour, like, why would you not include those in the damage reports? That's my question about it, and I just don't know. I had to get it all out there, fellas. I had to. It's just really dumb of how the NWS decides to put this in there when it was not supposed to, and now they're gonna decide to add those in there. Oh man, I really had to get that out there for you guys. So I apologize if I was going a little too extreme for myself, but I really had to throw it out there. I'm pretty sure many of you Tornado fans are gonna be rambling about what I'm saying here because I'm pretty sure you guys would have other ideas about this too. So moving on to the next piece is that what would this mean for the EF scaling system since now they implemented the Throne Train car that was fully out there in the distance, far beyond where those other train cars were attached and derailed off the railway. What would this mean? There are already discussions about this event that they're actually going to make changes to the EF skill, which I'm like, well, finally they're going to do that. And where am I getting this evidence from is that I was actually watching a meteorology live stream on YouTube about they were talking about this event, and the community from the NWS is actually pretty much reconsidering making changes to their policy about the EF rating. So they're probably gonna add those in there, and probably a lot more that we don't even know what's gonna be added. But holy hell, we're actually gonna have an updated EF scale because I knew from the very start, like, sorry about that, that the EF scale was already flawed like many years ago, and this should have been like been updated like several years prior, like or even much like earlier than that. This was I feel like this type of update from the meteorology community was way overdue. That's how I think about it. Like that right there about how Enderlin twister changed everything. Like this should have been done. Like this change should have been implemented a long time ago. And I'm glad that we're getting it, but it's also left me flustered that they decide to bring this up. So, and the other thing is that they're actually gonna think about maybe recalculate the damage evidence of previous tornado events. Like, um, one I would say is the Greenfield, Iowa, that I have actually reacted before though. I actually have a reaction video about that if you guys are kind of curious about my thoughts on that. Unfortunately, that was written in EF-4, but if they make that to an EF-5, which I believe they should have done that, I'd be like, okay, I got my wish there. So we got an EF-5 on that one. But the one other event that I do want the NWS community to do is to recalculate this one event all the way back in El Reno. And I'm pretty sure you guys know what that is. It's very well known, and there's actually two damage indicators that I would consider to make it an EF-5. Because, unfortunately, the El Reno tornado from May 31st, 2013 was only rated EF-3. But it should have been EF-5. But if they actually make that tornado event to an EF-5, I'd be like, well, that was quite embarrassing. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm just gonna say like, okay, you know what? You guys just embarrass yourself because you guys just said like, oh, we only do the damage survey based on damage, but there's a catch to it though. So obviously, like I already said this before, I'm not gonna go over it again because I don't want to bore you guys on that. But if they actually do decide to recalculate the damage survey on El Reno, May 31st, 2013, and the one back in last year was the Greenfield, Iowa, if they actually manage to do those recalculations and put the scales back up to EF-5, I'd be like, man, you guys really messed up. Because this EF scale has been freaking flawed for like over like, oh my god, 2 decades or more. I don't really know. I don't know anymore. But anyway, that's all I gotta say here. But here, that's my thoughts on this topic here. I don't want to go on any more extreme rants about this, but I've ranted far enough. But hopefully you guys enjoyed my thoughts and my reaction about this. And if you guys kind of curious more about me as a weather psychic, I will kind of explain a bit more of who I am. I learned a little bit of meteorology from my spirit guides if you guys are kind of curious, but uh, I will make a different video someday ahead of the future whenever I get the chance to. But anyway, love and to all of you guys, and as always, stay shining out there. I'll see you guys next time.